Welcome to the Outspoken blog. I'm Arya Gavami, and this is going to be a real raw look into building a company. This is going to be a daily chronicle. I don't know where this is going to take me or take us, but I want you guys along for the journey. I want to see and show you guys what it takes behind the scenes of building a company. I suppose we should start with myself. I'm 29 years old, born and raised in LA. Worked a bunch of different types of jobs, sales, been a tutor, a personal trainer, I've driven for Uber. But I've always been interested in technology, always been interested in specifically technologies that I feel can help a lot of people, help people at mass scale. And so this is going to be the step-by-step of how to do that. So I suppose the first question is, why am I doing this? Why am I chronicling this? Why am I recording this? A couple of reasons. First, to hold myself accountable. I think if I'm recording myself and I have something to report and somebody to report to every day or every week, I think that's useful. So on one hand, it's a check for myself. On the other hand, it's something I would have loved. It's something I'd still love to see. What does it take to build a company? What goes on in the day-to-day? If you're building a software company, are you coding all day? How much thought goes into branding and overall strategy? What goes into team building? If it's just yourself, how do you manage everything? All of these questions that I feel like obviously are going to be different for every company, but we're going to take a look at what it takes for this one. Next question, why am I building something? Well, it's a good question. Why build something? Why not, help somebody else's effort? Why not go work at Apple or Google if you want to, help a bunch of people with technology? Certainly that would be a lot easier. But I think I think building a company is more than just about the external impact. It's who you become in the process of creating a company. Building a company or being an owner in any sense, it doesn't matter how big the company is, doesn't have to be in software, any type of endeavor where you're the solely accountable one, the buck stops with you, you have to answer, you have to pay the bills, you have to take care of things, you're responsible for something, I think is valuable. The greater the scale of that, the greater the challenge. And I love challenging myself. I love putting myself in a position where I'm forced to rise to the occasion. So yeah, that's why I build something. In addition, when you build something, you get to say what goes into it. This is about choice. This is about, I have ideas that I want to put out into the world that I think that the world should see. The only direct way to do that is by building something. And I would encourage anybody, and I hope that I do encourage through my actions and through this chronicle, people to look at themselves and say, what can I create? What do I bring to the world? I didn't know how to create software, and creating software is a lot more than just coding. We'll talk about what I do, but yeah, I think building things is fundamental and important for everyone. All right, so what is Outspoken? What is this thing I'm building? Outspoken's a forum. It's a way for us to talk about the things that are important to us. And you say, well, doesn't that already exist? Yes, and the thing is that most of the ways that we talk about things online is through text. And so much is lost through text. We don't have nuance, we don't have context, we don't get a sense of how that person is feeling. You can't pick up sarcasm. There's so many things that are missing through text that are solved with video. We get the most authentic expression of someone, through this medium. And so I think taking the same format of a forum where, somebody can create a topic and a bunch of different people can give their reply and their response to that topic, but just doing it in a way where, the actual content is this vibrant, authentic form of expression that is video. So that's the goal, that's the essence. All started from this idea of, when I'm with my friends or family or anybody who's spent any meaningful amount of time around me knows I love asking questions. I love asking hypothetical questions. I love asking would you rather questions. I love asking questions about people, on, things that are people have strong opinions on. I love hearing that. I love expressing my own opinion. And so I wanted to create, again, goes back to building. What would I want? What type of, platform would I want? And so I tried to shape it in a way that I think I'll appreciate, and I think a lot of other people will appreciate. All right, so being that this is the first video, what have I done so far? Where are we picking up this story? Well, I recently incorporated. I have been building for several months now, just teaching myself how to code. It's going to be built on iOS to begin with, so Swift, for those of you that are familiar, building an API using Python, Django framework, for those of you familiar there. But yeah, these are all things that I kind of had to learn. First step was learning how to code. Actually, even before that was really understanding how to build a product. That sounds really broad, but specifically, I mean, what makes somebody want to use something? It's not just because you think it's cool, it has to be useful on some level. And useful doesn't have to be practically useful. There are a lot of, for example, social apps, and we won't get into them, but that are, not necessarily useful in the traditional sense, but they serve a purpose in that they relieve boredom, or they, connect us with one another. All of these things are important, and so what use is it serving? Then went into design. How do you think about designing an app? Not only, how the information is structured, how you navigate from page to page, but the thing that most people think about design, how does everything look? How does the user interact with your product? How do certain things make them feel? Understanding things about that. Only then was it that, I started getting into coding. And coding is essentially the final step is how do I put this stuff that I've learned about, what I want to build, how do I go practically and actually build that? And so it's useful, but I don't actually think it's as important unless you have that solid foundation of what should I even build in the first place. No matter how well you know how to code, that's not going to help you there. So I would say the first step for anybody who's looking to build anything is why am I building this? For whom am I building this? Very specifically. And the easiest way to do that is start with yourself. What would I want? What product or service would I really want? Would I use myself? Would I pay for myself? And if you start there and you can build something, even if you have just an idea of something that you could build for yourself that would be useful for yourself, that you would consider paying for, you probably can find a lot of other people who are willing to pay for that as well. So I'd say give it a shot. So what are next steps? I've built about 50% of the front end, most of the back end, about 80% of the back end, at least for the initial version, something that's testable for people. My goal, and right now, is May 4th, may the 4th be with you, is by the end of May to have something testable for 20, 30 people. Enough to get some sort of feedback. Goal after that is there's a couple essential features. I'll show you guys the app as we're talking through this and building it out. But a couple key features we'll add in June to make it the base experience more usable. And then from there, it's about performance updates. You'll hear me say this a lot because I've learned the hard way. Build the minimum viable experience. People say minimum viable product, and the reason I don't like that implies as long as it works, you can put it out. I like to take it a layer deeper. Only reason you should put out a product is if the experience of using it is so much better than something else, or doesn't, that experience doesn't even exist. It can't be replaced. It doesn't even have to be better than something else, because there is nothing else like it. Unless one of those things is true, way better or totally unique, there's not really a point of putting out that product or experience. So first step is find out what that is. We have the first hypothesis for, what it is. And when I say we, I mean I. Right now it's just me. But the first hypothesis, we'll put that to the test and collect feedback. And that's what this is all going to be about, is I'm not going to stop until I get this done. And the only way to figure that out and to get to that point is keep testing, keep iterating, keep building until we get to a point where people love it. I'll talk to you guys soon. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this and you want to follow the journey, like, subscribe. Talk to you guys soon.